Imagine you have just been given the papers that say you own Mount Fuji. It is the highest mountain in Japan, a live volcano that could erupt again, and an image so famous it appears on millions of postcards. Around 300,000 people climb it every summer, all packed into a time of barely 2 months. It looks like a calm, holy postcard, and now it's yours. But before you put that paper in a nice frame, there's a problem. By 2024, your mountain has a lock on its front door. The main climbing path, the Yoshida Trail, now charges a required fee of 2,000 yen. So it's no longer free. There's a rule. The gate shuts hard at 4 in the afternoon and stays shut until 3 in the morning. And as soon as 4,000 people have passed through, that's all. The door is closed for the day. Your holy volcano now has opening hours like a nightclub. So before you spend even 1 yen of that fee money, let's look at the real system you have just taken over, because the postcard skipped some details. Forget the cash. Your first real headache is a difficult situation of moving people and supplies, and it has a specific name. The Japanese call it Dangan Tosan. That means bullet climbing. It's when you start your climb late at night, go straight up without sleeping in a mountain hut, and try to reach the top just before sunrise. You skip the rest, you skip the cost of a bed, and you get your photo of the morning light over Japan. The problem is your body. You are climbing 3,700 meters high with no sleep, in air so thin it's dangerous, and many people fall down. In 2011, roughly 30% of all climbers were doing it, and the mountain's rescue teams were overwhelmed by calls about extreme tiredness, altitude sickness, and injuries. That toll booth and the 4 o'clock curfew on your trail are not a greedy plan. They are a direct, life-saving medical step. When they locked the gate for the first season, bullet climbing did not drop just a little. It fell 90% in the first week. The gate is not a ticket booth. It's a rule to stop people from climbing a volcano while they are half asleep. So your new curfew saved lives. Make notes, because soon you'll be the one making sure it's followed. But that still does not explain who pays for every blanket, rice ball, and toilet flush on a volcano with no roads. Here is what the tourists never see. Forget that 2,000 yen fee. The real money that keeps this place alive comes from the small hidden payments you never see on a postcard. Starting with the cost of a bed. If a climber wants to avoid becoming a bullet climbing casualty, they stop at a mountain hut for the night. A single bed with 2 meals costs between 9,000 and 13,000 yen, with extra charges on weekends. That is up to 4 times the cost of the mountain's own entry fee just to sleep in a shared room. Why? Because every grain of rice, every bottle of water, and every liter of cooking fuel was carried up the side of a live volcano on a special truck. The truck runs from the 5th station, the parking lot where the trail starts, about halfway up. You are running a high mountain supply business where the beds cost more than the mountain itself. But the trucking is not the only reason those beds are so expensive. You now face an even tighter limit, the calendar. The full climbing season on Fuji opens in early July and closes firmly by the first week of September. That's all. 10 weeks of paying customers. The other 10 months of the year, the top is stuck in snow and strong winds. Every bed and every hut is empty, and your money stops completely. Meanwhile, the huts, the rescue stations, the paths cut by tractors, they all need repairs, insurance, and to be ready for emergencies through the frozen months when nobody is hiking. The toll on the Yoshida Trail is not just a way to control the crowd. It is your main money source for the empty season, the cash you need to keep the whole operation running during a long stretch with no income at all. So when you look at that 9,000 yen bed, you are not seeing a profit. You are seeing a price stretched to survive 10 months of emptiness. Every other cost on this mountain, from the pancake, a simple breakfast sold in the huts, to the permit, the official name for that same entry fee, is set the same way. And then there is the plumbing, the system of pipes and toilets. For years, the slope just below the top was known by a dark local nickname, the White River. It wasn't a pretty stream, it was a river of raw human waste flowing from the crowded, simple toilets, visible even from space in satellite photos. The Fujisan Club, a local group that protects the environment, stepped in to build the first toilets that turn waste into clean dirt. Now, using a bathroom at the top costs you 300 yen. There is a coin-operated gate right at the edge of the crater. Everything that goes inside has to be carried back down the mountain by heavy machines. Experts say the true cost per climber is about 7,000 yen. That's nearly 3.5 times the 2,000 yen you can charge. The view is extremely valuable, but the plumbing is extremely expensive and you cannot avoid it. You get that money back 100 yen coin at a time. And this cost problem runs all the way down the mountain. Because while you are dealing with that waste mess at the top, the towns at the bottom are dealing with a different kind of trouble. Visitors who don't spend even 1 yen. It turns out, free tourism often costs more than it brings in. Across Japan, 2023 set a bad record for mountain accidents, and accidents on Fuji jumped by nearly 90%. You'll see a lot of media blaming foreign tourists in sandals, but the solid data shows Japanese climbers make up the great majority of both the incidents and the deaths. The cost of the rescues is mostly a local problem, and that problem has a price. A single helicopter rescue in the thin air near the top can cost over 1 million yen. Mount Fuji sits partly in Shizuoka Prefecture, a local government area like a state or county. In 2023 alone, Shizuoka Prefecture recorded 101 rescue requests on Fuji, and the bills are paid by local fire departments, volunteer rescue teams, and the taxpayers. Most climbers have no rescue insurance at all, so your gate stopped the worst of the late-night collapses, but every summer the mountain still produces a stream of costly, publicly paid emergencies that a 2,000 yen fee barely starts to cover. It's a problem that hides the real pain, making people blame the wrong thing. The day visitors who flood the base towns, take photos, drop trash, and block traffic are a pure burden. They cost the region a fortune while spending almost nothing. One of those base towns, Fujikawa Guchiko, got tired of it. There's a famous view of Fuji framed perfectly behind a convenience store, a photo that got hugely popular on social media. Tourists arrived in huge numbers, ignoring signs, crossing the street in a dangerous way, and leaving trouble behind without ever opening their wallets in a local shop. In 2024, the town physically put up a big, ugly black mesh screen right in front of the view to block it. They spent their own money to kill their own famous postcard shot because the people taking the photo were costing them more than they were worth. Your free mountain created a local angry response so strong that a town decided the view was a problem they needed to hide. This exact mess, the trash, the crowds with no limits, the tractor supply routes you now manage, is why your mountain almost didn't get its UNESCO World Heritage status in the first place. That whole fee and cap system you run is not a local idea. It is keeping a written promise 10 years late to the United Nations. When Mount Fuji applied for UNESCO World Heritage status, the committee saw the traffic jams and tractor paths. They refused the natural label they gave to places like Kilimanjaro. It was too damaged. They gave it a cultural label as a compromise. And they attached conditions. Fix the upper paths, fix the tractor paths, and submit a plan to manage visitors by 2016. If you fail, you risk being removed from the list. The toll booth and the daily cap are not just good policy. They are a desperate fix for a broken promise that could cost your mountain its place on the world stage. But the daily mess at ground level is only half your problem, because the mountain itself is a slow-motion money bomb, and you are now in control of the most dangerous part. Mount Fuji is a live volcano. Its last eruption, the Hoei eruption of 1707, sent ash falling on Tokyo, nearly 100 kilometers away. If that same eruption happened today, experts say the money damage would be around 2.5 trillion yen. And getting ready for that day is no longer a choice. Your toll money is now paying for strong concrete eruption shelters, each costing roughly $260,000, with plans for more than a dozen of them across the slopes. You are also paying for a permanent network of earthquake sensors and gas detectors, watching every small movement of the pool of hot liquid rock below. And here is the cruel part of owning a volcano. If the instruments show signs of a real awakening, the whole mountain closes. Not for a week, for years. The summer business of huts, tolls, and guided climbs disappears overnight, and you are left with an empty, rumbling burden and no income. The volcano is not a background, it is the biggest hidden cost, and its bill could come at any season. But for someone who supposedly owns this place, you have been spending a lot of money fixing other people's problems. And there is a reason for that. The paper you just signed might be legally worthless, because the real owner has been sitting on top of your mountain for 400 years. Here is the part the tour guide skips. In the early 1600s, Shogun Tokugawa Ieyasu, the ruler of Japan, gave the whole top of Mount Fuji, from the 8th station all the way up, to a Shinto shrine, Fujisan Hongu Sengen Taisha. The peak was private religious land. After the Second World War, the government took it and refused to give it back. The shrine took them to court. They won in 1974, but the government did not actually hand over the peak for another 30 years. Until 2004. And here is the final strange twist. To this day, the shrine cannot officially register the land ownership. They cannot finish the paperwork because the summit crater, the bowl-shaped opening at the top, sits right on the border between Yamanashi and Shizuoka prefectures, local government areas, and the official government border has never been drawn across the top. The line on the map simply fades out. Your ownership paper is worthless. A 400-year-old temple already owns the peak, and even they cannot finish the registration because nobody ever took the time to draw a line on the map. So you have got your gate, your curfew, and an ancient temple as your landlord. The 2024 season was your first real test run. Did the money work? Partly. Bullet climbing dropped 90% instantly. That part worked. The toll raised about 300 million yen from roughly 149,000 paying climbers on the Yoshida Trail. That money is now being used to build shelters for volcanic eruptions, but the fee had an optional extra donation on top of the required toll, and only 41% of climbers paid it. The bigger problem is the crowd didn't shrink. It just moved. Fuji has 4 trails, and the other 3 saw a 6.4% increase in climbers as people walked around your paid gate. And even that 300 million yen is a tiny drop. A single eruption shelter costs about $260,000. And experts say each person should really pay 7,000 yen, not 2,000. The first toll season was a short-term financial solution that successfully stopped one deadly tradition, but just pushed the rest of the crowd to the cheaper trail next door. So that's your icon. The tickets barely cover the rescue bills. The real money is in the beds and the pay toilets. The view got so costly a town blocked it, and the actual ownership paper for the top belongs to a temple that can't even register it. Mount Fuji was never the free, open monument the postcard sold you. It is a high mountain problem machine, and the hidden economics are not a clever business model. They are a desperate, underfunded attempt to keep a holy volcano from being ruined by too many visitors. Welcome to the business. Don't expect a clear tax bill anytime soon.